Information gang in the building. What up, word mob? It's your man, 50 grand Kevin Barnes, the militant with a microphone, the mouthpiece of the movement, aka the Negro Whisperer, on a Thursday night for Outlaw Nation. Welcome to the show. I hope everybody's doing fine. It's raining outside, so I would advise you to drive carefully if you're out in traffic, because it ain't about what you do; it's about somebody else's ability to be an idiot when it's wet outside with their car. So you got to watch out. You got to engage in defensive driving. But welcome to the show. It is Outlaw Nation. I told you what I do with Outlaw Nation is just talk about all of the shit that's left on the cutting room floor, which means basically I'll talk about pretty much anything that's going on right now in the media. I usually steer clear of a lot of entertainment-based stuff because, I feel like there's so much going on, especially in the city we live in. There's so much more that we could be, talking about in regards to communicating with our people. But every now and then you have to let your guard down, have a good time. So that's just what I do. It's therapeutic for me. So welcome to the show. This is supposed to represent Milwaukee. Milwaukee is made up of a lot of different black people, different kinds of black people, I should say. People think all black people are the same, right? And thus, stereotypes and whatnot. But they think when you think of black, when we say black, well, what is black? I think a lot of us don't understand black people come in a lot of different variations. And I ain't just talking about light skin, dark skin. Personality wise, what we like to do, where we like to go, how we like to kick it. It's all kinds of different, types of black people. So, I try to put myself with those who are progressive and positive. I don't know about you. I've been on the other side. So, you are who you hang with. They say, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. That's usually how they put it. But, like I said, man, to each his own. I encourage everybody to be who they are, do what they want to do, go where they want to go. With Outlaw Radio, which I do on Monday nights, and then I do this Big Black Sports Show on Tuesday nights. And shout out to all my co-hosts, Kamar Carter, shout out to the boy Rail, shout out to Coach Tank Purdue, Courtney Francois, and all the supporters of the show who are normally rocking with us. So we do the Outlaw Radio joint on Monday nights, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time until about 9:30. Tuesday night, I do the Big Black Sports Show. And then Wednesday night, we do another edition of Outlaw Radio. And on Thursdays, I close the week down by doing Outlaw Nation. So if you're wondering what it is, don't be fooled by my surroundings. I'm just not in my studio. I will be heading back to the Chocolate City Studios momentarily. I can't wait, man. I can't wait till y'all see the renovations we've made. So, but yeah, man, call in if you want to get involved in the show. I'm going to talk about some stuff. I'm just throwing it up in the air. If you have a response, an opinion, maybe you think I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, you can call in. The number's running across the bottom of the screen, but it may be so small you can't see it. It's 262-202-5131. 262-202-5131. Cash App down there too. Drop a line. Drop a line on your man. But yeah, man, like I said, man, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're listening. My chat room is always hitting on this show, so I can always depend on. I won't just be on here talking to myself. So don't hesitate to make a comment. What's going on in the city, man? What are the big news items, right? Like, grown folks news, right? Like not no rumor shit or he said, she said, but what's going on? The whole baby situation where we had the Amber Alert, and the baby was missing. I said on Outlaw Radio when the information I got regarding the situation, right, where they said that there was a mother and she was in this home or whatever with, I guess, 3 or 4 other people maybe, and then they all passed out. And then when she woke up, everybody was gone. The baby was gone. And I said, well, this sounds like some crackhead shit. And so people like, man, really? And we didn't, you didn't have a whole lot of information, but it sounded like some shit where somebody got drunk or high or, they was on one, smoking backwoods and hitting hookahs, I guess, or what you call it, whatever you call it. So I felt like it was something like that involved with this. Now, come out today, the news is 2 teenage girls were arrested for the disappearance of this child. Allegedly, I don't know if it's a case of kidnapping. I didn't see a whole lot of the data wasn't really thick on it. So if you have more information on that than I do, please call in and let me know. It still sounds like a very dysfunctional environment to me. Whatever this was, it sounds very dysfunctional. It sounds like, children's services need to be checking up on this baby. And I'm always I'm thinking about the children. Like I don't really worry about grown people that much. It's really about the babies out here. I tell you all the time, man, Kevin love the kids. I hope you do too. There's something wrong with your ass if you don't like kids. I was just thinking about that because I seen like Mary J. Blige come up with her statement about I don't want kids and because I don't want to be responsible for nobody. I'm like, that sounds like some shit somebody who can't have kids would say. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's insensitive. And shout out to you if you out there and you don't have kids and you're like, fuck you. I can have them if I wanted to. I just don't want any. I'm just saying, like, it's hard not to like kids. So if you're the type of person that don't like kids, I always say, what kind of motherfucker is this? So, but yeah, man, I want some more details on this situation, man, because it's a lot of this happens more often than people think, and it's not always reported with our babies. Sometimes left in the care of the wrong person, or in the wrong facility or what have you, where they're not necessarily supervised the way they should be, and there's really no adult there to do what they need to do, to supervise them. So this was reported, and the Amber Alert went out and whatnot. So hopefully this will create a situation where we get some more understanding of what's going on in the community so we can better serve our people. I hope so. I hope so. Shout out to Chris Johnson and Kingfish MKE. I see you, Chris. I see you said you sent me the article on the city attorney's latest allegations. Man, there's been so many allegations levied against the first black city attorney in the history of the city of Milwaukee, Tierman Spencer, who's been on this show several times. I'm saying several. He's been on here a couple times. And Spencer's cool. I've conversations with Spencer off the air. I've spoken with him and conversed a bunch of times. But so I haven't read this article. I haven't read the latest allegations. There's a rumor that they're sending around some more sexual harassment claims. Is this not really like a really strange time for sexual harassment claims when you look at in the media where you have like Deshaun Watson, who's an NFL quarterback who was accused of by 22 women of sexual harassment? And, like, he would go for massages. I guess he wanted a happy ending, or I don't know what's up with Deshaun and the massage booth thing. I don't know if that's his thing or what. To each his own, like I said. But 22 allegations, and then he wasn't even legally charged with any of them. All right, and then so you look at, we talked about Chris Brown, who made the news because it was some accusations that he raped somebody, and then he exposed some texts that kind of showed that the girl was just on some other shit with it. So it's a lot of weaponizing of sex. This is a crazy time. So these allegations, what are they centered around? I'd love to get Spencer on here to talk about them. I don't know if legally he could, but what is he doing? Because this wouldn't be his first one. What is the thing? I'd really like to hear the women from down there talk about what he's doing. If all these accusations, I know don't get it twisted. There's also a bunch of people who would rather not see Tierman in that position. We have to understand, Milwaukee has been run by a very efficient system for a very long time. I don't know if you know about Tammany Hall, and I don't know if you know about Boss Tweed and all these kinds of things. It's a good read if you really want to, read about how this functions on a city level in terms of how we're governed. But it's a slick system. So his predecessor was there 28 years or something like that. Langley, I believe his name was, and he played along with whatever was whatever. Like, you don't think that there's no system in place when all of the police misconduct that we've had in this city, and we've paid out in settlements, we've paid out like millions of dollars, and that's taxpayers who pay that, by the way. But with all of that, no policemen have ever been criminally charged, right? So that means you have an effective system in which you can make sure certain people are protected. And then you see some people get overcharged for some shit. Like, all I had was a bag of weed. He got 7 years. Huh? What happened? So there's some people who don't want to see Tierman down there too. It always counts. When you're a brother, you can't never discount. Like, what brothers usually don't call wolf. Sometimes I guess when we talk about racism on the job, usually when the brothers say, "Oh man, this white people at my job be on some shit," most of the time you gotta believe them, right? Like, I know every now and then you get a brother just, you ain't come to work the whole week. What are you talking about? Like, they could have let me go. Like, it's just not those kinds of people. But what's going on down there, man? What is Tierman doing? Is he just laying it out when they walk in the office? Is what he got incense burning? He got slow music playing, like, and after the first one, and now we get into this one. I like to know, Spencer, any time to do something different, if that's what's getting you caught up. I mean, you're in an important position. Like I said, you're the first black city attorney in the history of this city. That means something, right? One of our biggest issues here is we ain't really been able to penetrate that inner circle downtown. And so, we'll see how this, innocent until proven guilty. We'll see. Good looking out for that, Chris. I'll read up on it. Yeah, I'd have to pull it up. I'll read up on it. But man, tonight is Outlaw Nation, man. And let me know how y'all feel about these topics. I keep saying, get ready. This election is coming right around the corner. I don't know if people have made their minds up how they're going to vote in terms this black and white, like, this black versus white election. Then I'm starting to learn maybe it ain't all white people for Donovan. I'm starting to see a lot of black people for Donovan. So maybe I need to, correct my stance on it. I just, we talked about being on code last night. We talked about the value of blackness, right? Like, what does that still mean? And people say, well, Chevy ain't no brother. He is a Uncle Tom or a coon or whatever. And I'm not going to lie. I've heard a lot of the things that he talks about in terms of his policies or his plans. It sounds just like Barrett. It sounds like Barrett got his hand up his brother's ass. Is he a puppet? I mean, he is little. Bad joke. Bad joke. But yeah, so when he hasn't said anything that I would think is, progressively black. Like it's one of, I think he's a very non-threatening, and that's how it comes across. As I'm a non-threatening Negro. I'm for all the people, right? I'm not that. When I talked about those different kinds of Negroes in Milwaukee, I'm a for the people Negro. Like, I don't particularly care about no other community where we ain't. Where we ain't at. I'm more worried about where we're at. Like, see, well, out in the suburbs, or I don't care about that shit. I'm more. I always want black people to win. That's my thing. Always want black people to win. I don't care. It could be a spitting contest, a jumping contest, a marble contest. I want the black dude to win or the black woman to win. I'm always on our side. You're right, Chris. I always put the comments up on the screen during Outlaw Nation. Let's see what we got here. There we go. He said Alderman Ashanti Hamilton endorsed Bob Donovan. He did. He did. And I, this was a very strange thing. This was a strange thing. I guess unless you understand the relationships that our aldermen downtown have. So we, in essence, have equally split aldermen, common council, half black, half white, I guess it is. And they're very divided. So, Ashanti's, did he step down from being president of the Common Council? However, he, relinquished his spot, and Chevy kind of took over. Because at one point they were saying Ashanti Hamilton was that dude. Like, they were saying, like, oh, he's gonna be the first black, he's gonna be the next black mayor. So it was like, okay, the first black mayor, I should say. Well, I guess we got to put an asterisk there and include Marvin Pratt when he, stepped in. But he wasn't elected. He lost the election. So, yeah. So, but I'm saying Ashanti was, at one point looked at as the heir apparent, but then I don't know, political disagreements and people breaking up affiliations and whatnot. So then he said that he feels like Donovan understands how to do the job. He understands the issues that affect the city. I don't know. I seen Chevy Johnson's campaign manager say, what do you say? An alderman, hell hath no fury like an alderman scorned. So, apparently it's some bad blood there. But, I feel like shit like that kind of splits and takes away votes. But one thing that gives me confidence, and I always tell y'all here on Outlaw Radio, I'm a glass half full type dude, right? So I feel like even in the primary where a lot of people didn't vote, like the turnout wasn't what it should have been. Chevy kicked his ass. He got 47% of the vote, and I believe Donovan had maybe 22. Now, that doesn't mean that, the Bob Donovan supporters won't get mobilized and get out and up the ante this time, but we'll see, man. Like I said, it's very important. And then it's not, because whoever this mayor is gonna have 2 years. So we'll have another election in the regular election in 2 years, because this is a special election. So we'll have another one in 2 years, and we'll get whoever we, hire your ass, fire your ass. Whoever we elect, if shit ain't smooth, then smooth the fuck up out of office, as they say. Ashanti lost the vote to be president of Common Council. Okay, so he was outvoted. He was voted off. All right, okay. He was voted off. He lost his shit, so he's salty about it. He's a poor loser. I still don't. It doesn't make sense right now, even at a time like this. I still feel like our Common Council, this is like a record, like, length of time where they are just really quiet. I hear nothing coming from that. I see they participate in ceremonies, like, oh, so and so was given a award, a proclamation, and you'll see an alderman there, or something opened up, or when they extended Martin Luther King a couple blocks. But in terms of like just groundbreaking legislation put in place for the community, I just don't see it. And so if you know about something, and I'm not talking about, hey man, they helped me get a grant so I can open a daycare or something. I'm not talking about like that. I'm speaking on things that would really contribute to the improvement of our quality of life in the city. I'm talking about stuff like that. So I'm being a little snobbish about the shit. So don't call me talking about, oh, you my cousin, you got my cousins and free bus passes. I don't want to hear about no shit like that. I'm talking about some real things that affect change, man. So yeah, hit me up, man. Let me know how y'all feel. This is gonna be a crazy election though. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, you try to visualize what's gonna happen. And I say, man, Bob Donovan, the mayor of Milwaukee, the old white greaser. And there's a lot of jokes out here about Bob Donovan peeping through the wall, looking at the boys downtown in Marquette, in the bathroom, in the shower room. Like, there's a lot of jokes about that. But Chevy, like I said, Cavalier, whatever his name is, he ain't playing dirty. He's not mudslinging, because I ain't seen that. I ain't heard him come at, because if I was running, that would have been the first thing I said. It was like, yeah, y'all remember this? Then he went and found some shit out I did, and then it would have really got ugly. So, but that's why a lot of people don't like Chevy, or because they feel like he's not aggressive enough, right? And I've said a million times, man, that Milwaukee doesn't really need a nice guy mayor, right? I mean, because it's gonna require some battles, like, you're getting fucked over by the state and the county, and us having some of the worst basic, like, socioeconomic conditions, but it's the tit that the whole region feeds off of, right? Like, so all of these places that have higher median incomes and have these, more better school systems, and they're, every steady economy or whatever, and an influx of jobs and businesses, and people have the ability to start their own small business and whatever. We don't have that, but they come in here for the stadium. They come in here for the arenas, for the theaters, the lakefront. They come to Milwaukee for all of that. So, but then they get the fuck up out of here. So, I just feel like Milwaukee needs to be empowered. The city needs to empower itself more, and let the state know, listen, hold on, the most tax revenue coming from here. But they say, put some respect on our name. I think that's what it's just my humble opinion. I feel like Milwaukee needs to be like a word when they hear him coming, they just, oh shit, here come the mayor, because they know he gonna come in there about his business and about our city, right? And people recognizing, giving us the respect we fucking deserve. Um, Chris Johnson says Chevy is a puppet. I'm reading it to y'all like it's a bedtime story. Put it up on the screen. Chevy Johnson is a puppet pretending to be a publicly elected official. Okay, that's why though. Okay. So, and I'm not disagreeing with you. Okay, I'm saying why, because when a lot of people who call names, who call him, say shit about him, or even Bob Donovan for that matter, when you say, why do you say that? They say, well, that's what I heard, or they don't really know. So what is it that makes Chevy a puppet, right? And you said pretending. Ooh, shit, he on his ass, pretending to be an elected official. Once again, and that's what I'm saying. If you're gonna call somebody a name, at least let us know why you calling them that, so we can call them that shit too when we see him. Because one thing is for sure, if I know, if my opinion becomes, yeah, that's who he is, I'm gonna call it like I see it. Right now, I just try to, because I'm so worried about our lack of solidarity, right? Like we get into it, like we can't because we have philosophical differences. And I don't really agree, I'm pretty sure, because I'm a person I don't really put a whole lot of stock on partisan politics, right? Like that's why we always hollering that party pooper shit on here. Like we poop on both parties. They've both been egregious in their treatment of us, right? No, the Democrats haven't helped you any more than the Republicans. You know, I keep saying the party of Lincoln. Like who Lincoln didn't even like black people. Why is that shit even like I see they give Lincoln like specials, like movies, like ooh, Abraham Lincoln. I don't want to see that shit. Once I've read his own words saying he basically really didn't give a shit about black people, it was enough for me to say, oh, fuck him too. So yeah, a party of Lincoln. That's what I'm saying. That political party shit is always like some group think, follow the leader type of shit. So, shout out to Paris LaShawn. Let me put him up on the screen. Welcome to the show, my brother. Big supporter for us out there in Denver. There we go. Peace, Outlaw Nation. This is Brother Che from Frontline Black News and Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced. Yes, sir. Shout out to you, my brother. Their show is on YouTube. So, and I share them a lot in the People's News Network. Get with that. Get with the People's News Network, man. That's the sister group to Outlaw Radio and the People's Network, man. What the hell? This is something else that I seen too. What the hell is going on with MPS? Like, somebody better check on MPS, right? It's all kinds of shit going on with MPS. It's a fund misappropriation of funds, like illegal hiring practices. It's all kinds of and MPS has this huge $2 billion budget. Like it's a lot going down with MPS. I had Beverly Williams on the show, and she detailed a lot of the what's going on with MPS. And so go back and watch that show. It's a great show. It's a very interesting show, and she gave up a lot of information. But all my guests give up a lot of information. Come on, man. It's the information gang, baby. Word mob. Okay. Chris Johnson. I will explain. Chevy has been nothing more than a tool for former Mayor Barrett and his administration since he was an intern in Barrett's office. All right, then. That's what I'm talking about, Chris. Now we get into some. We're peeling the layers back. We're peeling back the epidermis. Okay. So he was an intern. So basically, it sounded like you're saying he's kind of like a company man, right? And keep in mind, you're not really critical of Chevy if you approved of how Barrett was running the city. Let me say that again. You ain't really mad at Chevy to keep it going if you didn't have a problem with how Barrett was running things. A great majority of us do have a problem with the way Mayor Barrett was running things. So if Chevy is kind of just staying in his shadow and doing what he would do, or what would Barrett do? What WWBD, right? Like what would Barrett do? If that is his issue, then yeah, I would disagree with him too. And I wouldn't support him either, because I think Barrett just was not a very good mayor. I think he just kind of ran out of answers and energy. I mean, it's an old dude, man. Like, he's like, man, shit, these motherfuckers crazy. I mean, I realized one summer, every time black people got mad at anybody, elected or not, they wouldn't just set up shop in their yard and shit. Turntables, bounce houses, went to the courthouse, ribs. I'll never forget. Somebody got to find that footage of when Frank Nitti, it was 2 years ago when Frank Nitti went to jail and he was in the county, and I swear they set up turntables. They had like video games, spade booth. There was ribs, chicken. It was twerking contest. This was all on the grass at the county jail downtown Milwaukee. Shit was crazy. I said, a lot of politicians at that point said, shit, I'm good. I don't want to do with this. So yeah, this is this is the Milwaukee that we live in. So yeah, man, political shit here is so damning, man. Because it's such a sad situation, because black people are so underserved in this city, and they talk about band-aids on bullet wounds. I will say, because they just there was just a mandate passed in Washington D.C. that gave some millions to black businesses and small black organizations here in the city. But from what I see when I read Robert Miranda and Freshwater for Life Action Coalition, when I read his posts, they talk about that being hush money for people to, hey, okay, now we just scratched your back, scratch ours when we want to, we'll call you when we need you. And it seemed like that's what happened with Barrett a lot. There was a lot of a lot of cronyism, a lot of, gatekeepers. I mean, look at the health department in our city. That was an unmitigated disaster. Like, and the brother Bevan Baker with the bow tie, he had to fall on the sword, man. And some of the procedures that happened during that time, people talk about them, man, like, wiped computers and all kinds. There's some federal issues, some federal charges being formulated, if not already put into place, behind this whole water thing with the health department. So that's all under Barrett's watch. The Fire and Police Commission, who fires the police chief but don't do it in the right way, and not only does he get his job back, he gets a couple $100,000 settlement. And so, but once again, who pays this? It is the burden of the taxpayers. So we're electing dysfunction, and then we're paying because we're dysfunctional. I don't even know if that makes sense. I just said that shit. I don't know if I could repeat it either, because oh man, that's what I'm saying. So yeah. Let me get to my chat room. Let's see. Tiarsha Arthur, what up? Says she's always Tiarsha Arthur supports the show. Shout out to her, man. She watches the Big Black Sports Show and Outlaw Radio. So she said Vaughn Mays went to jail. Frank Nitty. Yeah, it was Clay. Yeah. Oh, it was Vaughn. It wasn't Frank. Okay, there we go. That you straightened me out, Tiarsha. You're right. So Vaughn was in jail, and Frank did the club. Yeah, we was calling it the Club County Jail. That was a wild time, man. They need to celebrate the anniversary of that. I think that was unprecedented in the city, unprecedented. But I don't think it'll happen again, because I think now if you did that shit, like, the sheriffs would come out and like kick your ass. It was bounce houses, man. People had spades. It was wild, man. And like, people was just like going down there randomly in the middle of the night, like, let's go down here and see this shit. And people were going down there, man. It was crazy, man. So yeah, that's Milwaukee, man. That's what you gotta love about being from here. It's one of those places where I know a lot of people, people they don't want to be from Milwaukee. I've never minded claiming Milwaukee, or wherever I've been out of town, or I've never mind representing, because I know Milwaukee is a wild ass place with some crazy ass people. Like, if you just think of some of the shit you've seen in this city, if you've been here, like, I've been here my whole life, except for the times I left and went to school and whatnot, but I've seen some crazy shit, right? Like, so, and some of it's funny, some of it's sad, but it's all true. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Let me see. I'm on my own shit. I'm supposed to be sharing what the people say. Right. Paris LaShawn said, sounds like the Denver government is a lot cronyism here as well. Oh yeah, I don't think we're unique in that. I think that's usually a trademark that you'll find in most urban areas, right? Like, that the government is super inefficient, and it's like, damn, this whole group of people just getting screwed over consistently. Chris Johnson, whether it comes to addressing issues of crime, providing city services equally, replacing lead laterals, or repairing streets or potholes and creators, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. It's all dysfunctional, Chris. You're right. It's all dysfunctional, man. And that's why I say, so that kind of solves where I was going with why, because to me, it's not good enough to shit on a black man in public and say, don't vote for him because he's a coon or he's a sellout or woo, woo, woo. What? Why are you saying that about him? What did he do? Like, and I don't like if somebody's talking shit about somebody and you say, why you say that now? I don't know. That's what I heard. You heard? Fuck you talking about? Excuse my French, as they say. Yeah, you're right, Tiarsha. They had a DJ. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not exaggerating the Club County Jail. And that's not the only one. They went to the police chief house. It was going down that summer. That was a crazy summer, man. So at that point, a lot of politicians here was like, shit, I'm good. I'm good. But it's not funny that we have a common council. I know that the people, they would say, well, we keep neighborhoods safe because we close down problem spots. Like, you close down bars, like Mr. J's is closed. And if you're not from Milwaukee, Mr. J's is like, what I would consider an adult venue, right? Like, where grown folks can go. You want to have a drink, hear some music, because a lot of times when at our age, you just don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear that some of this new shit. Like, damn, more auto tune, yeah. But so Mr. J's is a staple in the community. The brother, rest in peace. who was a proprietor in our community for a very long time, and he always had classy spots. So you say, well, there's too many instances in which violence occurs, so we're going to close this place down. Okay, I look at that and say, but I know they got an injunction. They went back to court to get an extension, but this was initially they were closed down. And the reasoning behind it was the amount of events, violence, and people being shot and cars being broken and crime in general. But I say this, yeah, maybe, that was happening at that club or whatever, but that's happening in the city. Is that what is shootings or car thefts or people breaking in cars or assault, is that going to stop in that area because Mr. J's closes? I don't think it does. So then that makes me think that then this whole entire area, this whole district needs to be policed better. Like, we need to talk about the policing strategies in that community as opposed to closing somebody's business down, right? It's like, blowing your nose to spite your face. Do that make sense? Happy birthday, George Clinton. He's about to turn 80. That was a funk reference. Maybe y'all don't listen to Parliament like me. I don't know. I don't know. I'm the Negro whisperer, so I guess I do strange things at strange times. But you're right, Tiarsha Arthur. It is back open. They had an injunction. Okay, Chris. There we go. Chris Johnson. And I'm not talking about you, Chris. Not you specifically. So if you know how we get down. He said, I never called Chevy and Uncle Tom, though that may be debatable. However, he said, I do refer to him as a puppet of Mayor Barrett and his campaign contributors. Voila. There you have it. And perhaps that's true. It's certainly looking like that. That's why I'm saying you're listening to what these cats are saying to you because they want your votes, and you watch the commercials and you hear the messages, and normally you're going to get campaign promises and whatnot. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make Kool-Aid the city drink, and all these promises and shit they can't do that they're not going to do when they get elected. But he ain't even really made up nothing. He's saying all the same shit that they've been saying for 20 years. So I'm like, damn it. At least he ain't lying to you. It ain't like he bullshitting you. He letting you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I ain't do shit either. Because that's what it means to me. It's that Charlie Brown shit. Like when I hear these dudes talk all out, really when they're talking, I just hear wah, 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 wah. It's the same old shit, right? It's the same old shit. So it's a difficult decision that has to be made by the community. But once again, I'm so in just trying to figure out a way that Black people can get solidarity that I'm saying, where do we draw the line with support? So, and maybe it's a question I should ask him, maybe I should ask him, like, could you wholeheartedly really agree with the way this city has been run for the last 17 years under Mayor Barrett? I'd like to hear his answer. Did they ask him that at the debate? Did he speak on that in any of the forums? I don't know, because we went into silo mode with the forums. I'll have mine over here. I'll have mine over here. I'll have mine over here. There was really no conversation about what was even said at the debates or the forums. So once again, the people we're not on code together. Tiarsha Arthur says, my question is, when he was an intern, what could he really do? I mean, it sounded like he learned. And that's the one reason you go into an internship is to network and try to get in with wherever you're at. So if I'm doing an internship with Pepsi, your mission should be, I'm trying to find my way into Pepsi somehow. So I'm pretty sure he figured out what hands to shake, what asses to kiss, what butts to wipe when he was down there. And so it obviously it paid off. He went from like a regular Joe Schmo to, the mayor, basically in a couple years. Ashanti been around forever. It's been a lot of aldermen who've been around forever. They still, on their regular job grinding. So obviously he figured out who he was supposed to get with down there. So let me see. Chevy has not had an original thought since he popped his mouth. He popped his mouth off his mama teeth. And we gonna stay off that man mama teeth now. Come on, Chris. I want to talk about his mama teeth. I get what you're saying. Man. I got my chat room popping, but if you want to call in, the phone line is open as well. 262-202-5131. 262-202-5131. Outlaw Nation. On a Thursday night, man, closing the week out. Shout out to Wayne Richards in the chat room. one of my homeboys, man, from the Twin Cities. One of my ex-college teammates, man. Shout out to you, Wayne. Big love, man. I think about some of those crazy North Dakota stories all the time, Wayne. That's why I got to come up there and see you, man. We got to chop it up about a lot of that wild shit from back in the days. But yeah, man. So these are opinions that are out here, and I'm just saying that's why I keep saying let's get on code. Let's create, and I keep talking about intentional solidarity. Like, let's start getting along on purpose. So it he ain't trying to come up, he ain't trying to hustle, he trying to connect the people. It ain't about his money. It's about us as a people. I just really feel, and I get it though. I get the feeling of desperation in our city. I can understand why a lot of people here would just be so fucking disgusted with the state of things, where they'd be like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm just about to do whatever. But when you do that, the devil has you. I don't know if that's the definition of what them old saved folks used to call it, a reprobated mind. Like that was that was like the crazy thing my mom and dad would say about somebody when they was just totally corrupt. And it was like the reprobated mind. That means you just done basically lost it and gave up and sold your soul out. Is somebody correct me on that? I don't know. I'm not as biblical as I need to be. Who is this? Oh, this is Chris. She said T.R. Arthur was an alderman and president of the Common Council and did nothing except support Barrett's racist agenda. Let's look at Ewok. Ewok the Great said Arizona gummies are great, man. Great. You know what? Shout out to gummies, man. Like a couple weeks back, I had try to eat some damn edibles and try to do a show, and it was a no-go. No bueno. Just a little bit too much for me, man. But I guess for somebody was making fun of me. I was Courtney on the show, and she was saying, Courtney Francois saying, like, you ain't supposed to eat 12 of them, right? I'm guilty and shit. You eat, and that's the trick. You eat one, you think, okay, this ain't doing nothing. You eat 3-4 more. Next thing you know, you're having a damn psychedelic experience. But shout out to you, man, if you like them gummies. Chris Johnson said the devil wears Prada and comes out of Barrett's office. Barrett was not a good mayor for us in terms of our progress in this city. He just wasn't. And it's not because he didn't come up with a million different kind of, like I said, the Band-Aid on a bullet wound, kind of like give him a program. Let's look for social services and let's get some donors and these poor black people. I just feel like Barrett was piss poor because he never just really said, until we get some jobs here, it's going to be all bad. I'm about to just make sure we bring back viable jobs. I want to create a situation where people can work and earn a living wage, meaning they can earn enough money to take care of themselves. And, you have in Milwaukee what we call the working poor, right? Y'all know what that means. It's a motherfucker that got a job, but you still poor. The object of getting a job is so you won't still be poor. But people here who have 2 jobs that live below the poverty line, excuse me. They live below the poverty line and they have 2 jobs. How's that even possible? Barrett sounds like Hancock here in Denver. I'm pretty sure they birds of a feather, but Barrett is now eating fine cheeses and sipping wine in Luxembourg because he was made an ambassador by President Joe Biden as a reward for bringing cattle to the flock, as they would say, bringing sheep to the herd. So all these Mac Negroes and all these people who followed him and came right behind him and endorsed him and supported his policies, he brought y'all to the slaughterhouse, and now he's gone. So buckle up. Paris LaShawn, he said, what's the cost of living in Milwaukee? I don't know. I don't know that the cost of living is all that high, and there's many different averages that would go into that. So I don't actually have that information in numbers. I can just tell you, I don't know what the exact cost of living is numerically, but I can tell you 40% of people of color here live below the poverty line, right? People here, like 40% of the black in this city is 40% black, and damn near half the black people in the city live below the poverty line. So I don't know that it matters what the cost of living is. I don't know that really matters when you think about it. It's put it like this: it's too high for us, goddamn it. Chris Johnson said, preach, Kevin. No need for a country this rich has to have working poor needing to work 2 to 4 jobs to survive. You damn right, man. You damn right, man. It's that's what I'm saying. Those are the things you gotta look at and say, okay, this needs to be fixed, because this leads to other problems in our community, like violence, like drug addiction, like chemical dependency, like robbery and assault and battery and all kinds of shit like that. Shout out to Alicia Mullins, my former housing authority co-worker. Alicia does some nonprofit stuff with mentally ill people too, so shout out to her. So yeah, Chris Johnson said housing is high, poverty is rampant. Yes. Now, he said, I'm looking at Paris LaShawn because he asked me a question. He said, let me find this question because it was making me do some math in my head. That's why I was like, damn, he got me really thinking on here. He was talking about half of the population makes 20K. Okay, so the median income here for Black people is about $30,000 a year. And the median income for white families here is about $60,000 a year. So I don't know if those numbers help you, right? I was a communication major, man. You see the way I'm holding this microphone? I didn't do math. I didn't do math in college, man. Come on, don't make me do numbers. She said, Alicia said we're still in segregation in Wisconsin, out in the open. Yeah, well, it's one of the most segregated cities in the country. Some white people try to argue differently, but I don't know how you argue against it, right? The only thing where their attempt to diversify the population in the city is going to be done through gentrification. I don't know if you know what that is. Look that up. Gentrification is the way they're going to deal with urban blight, right? So be aware of that. I think the one thing we have to do is get ahead of it and make ourselves more economically responsible, financially responsible, if you will. But how do you do that when your city do we need another Walmart? No. Do we need like another car wash or another burger? No, we need factories. We need to get in tune with what's popping in the economy, right? Like we need to, what is the hottest industry, whether it be, microchips or goddamn potato chips. We need to get in that game. And that's why I used to always say, I didn't want Bear to do nothing else but get on a plane and just go sit down and talk to every Fortune 500 company CEO and say, I'll give you a tax break. We got this worked out, man. Y'all come on, man. We got to get these jobs back here. But it's not happening. So when somebody tells me they want my vote, they need to speak to that. Black economic development. Shout out to Maureen Bishop. Shout out to she's a supporter of the show as well. Shout out to her. Shout out to Miss Bishop. She said the only thing Tom Barry pushed for African Americans was the summer youth program and the fatherhood initiative program. Okay, okay, and so I would have to look at those programs as individual programs. The summer program, I can actually say, and this is what you have to be honest about things. The summer program was cool. It was cool. But it was more Band-Aid on the bullet wound because of the fact that, number one, it was temporary. Like normally it's fire and forget. So those children who were given employment through organizations, a small percentage of them were able to really make this like a thing where, okay, I have a job now because it's subsidized, meaning that the city actually pays the kids. So, and these organizations aren't able to pay these kids otherwise. So, subsidies only last for so long. So it was a good thing for the young kids. It gave some kids some experiences. I worked with that program very closely. Chris said, do we need another barbershop? Not unless it's your entrepreneur pursuit. If you want to be a barber, if you're a barber and you say, nah, I want to open me a shop. Yeah, well, I guess in that regard, you saying we though, all of us. Does a barbershop kind of help us up our tax bracket? Not really. It helps the owner, maybe, perhaps, or the dude who sell CD, DVDs, bootleg movies, weed, incense, whatever. Because that's a whole economy to itself of people going throughout every barbershop and beauty shop. Tyrese on Baby Boy with the dress and shit. Let's see. Paris LaShawn said, look out for urban renewal. Let me get this up here, y'all. Look out for urban renewal and urban revitalism. Those are keywords and slogans that spell gentrification. That's what I just said. That's what I just said. I just said that. I just said that's their solution. That's going to be their solution to the problems in the city, right? So when they keep saying violence prevention and all these kinds of things, all they really telling you is we're gonna get some more people to live over here. We're gonna get you some better neighbors, right? So, and once they move those people in, those people are going to be more concerned about property values because they're going to be property owners, right? And so that means your ass going to have to move. Um, let's see. Alicia Mullen said, she said that Fatherhood Initiative program was set up to find fathers who owe child support and make them pay. There we go. I didn't know. Yeah, I ain't a child support dude. Shout out to my wife. Always never had no child support. So, um, but yeah, if that's it, I heard a lot of criticism of the Fatherhood Initiative program. Child support is hard on brothers here. That's just something else. We need to talk about reforming it. Like, I don't, that's not even something any black politicians are ever even forced to put up. Like, hey man, we need to do something about the child support laws. I never hear none of them say nothing about that. Let's see. I worked with the kids in the Earn and Learn program when I worked at the Milwaukee Urban League. Yes, I worked with Earn and Learn when I was with Employ Milwaukee, right? And we kind of, it ran through us. So I got a real in-depth, I managed probably about 9 sites that had kids working and made sure that they got their paychecks, timesheets submitted, and all that kind of stuff. Shout out to Sean Moore. What's good, bro? How you doing, man? Sean Moore in the building, man. Give it up for Sean Moore. The man, the myth, the legend, right? Sean Moore, what's good with you, brother? I hope you're doing all right, man. He said, I paid child support for kids in my own house. Yeah, hard on us. Yeah, us. I'm saying us. People like, Kim, you ain't paying no damn child support. Right. I still, my brothers, if, you know, I've watched my friends and brothers go through it and all that kind of stuff, man. Chris Johnson said, we need broader economic development opportunities, new industry, affordable housing, job creation through infrastructure programs like lead lateral replacement. Information gang, word mob, right? You're right, Chris. That's what I'm talking about. So if these are the kinds of things that a candidate comes along and this is what they're talking about, now I'm gung-ho about the shit. Like, now I'm gonna put a sign in my yard. I'm gonna say, you know that we need to be voting for him. All that kind of shit. That's what I'm looking for. And that's not what I see from our elected officials that we have, or the people who are running in the race. I don't, they still talking about, hey, we're going to start a meeting and still have a meeting, give us money, going to start an organization over here. We're going to start. That shit's not going to help. And that's going to take at least a year to set up. So, Sean Moore, he said he's doing better, man. I hope so, man. And yeah, brother, I've been there. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, we ain't the machines we used to be. Gotta take care of ourselves now a little bit more, man. Gotta put a little oil on the old tin man every now and then. He said, welcome home party for Chip tomorrow. That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Yeah, man. It's a lot going on though in the city. That's why I say people talk about, you know, act like Milwaukee is this. It's people from here who don't want to admit that they're from here. Like, people be ashamed of our city. Like, and I'm like, why? Everywhere's fucked up. There's no city where it's sweet for black people. Now, I do understand where you say, I want to change a pace. I just need to change the scenery. I'm going to move. I want to go somewhere else. I want to see something else. That's all good. But if you going somewhere and you thinking that it's going to be better for black people, in terms of the role that we, and especially in urban communities, in inner city communities, right? I don't want to say, well, because I know in some places there's more black wealth. I'm not that short-sighted. I understand you go to like Atlanta or you go to a place where it's more black business and more black people who are able to have their own businesses and stuff like that. I understand it from that in that regard. But you know, some of the craziest shit happens in this city, and then I'm watching the news and I see the similar shit happen there. So I'm like, I might as well stay here for the shit I actually know. But yeah, man. Paris LaShawn said one of the pillars in the black community here in Denver is from Milwaukee. I wonder who is that, because we probably know his ass. Yeah, everybody in Milwaukee know each other, especially black people. Chris Johnson said the city of Milwaukee has become a poor replica of the Chitlin circuits. I don't disagree with that either, Chris. I think everything there may be some intentional effort put towards making sure that everything we have here is considered second class. Like our media here. I feel like the media, the black media in Milwaukee, um, is very compromised. And I say that because I feel like that they fight for the same resources. So it's a buyer's market, right? So buyers end up being able to kind of set the terms because everything's so limited. So these advertisers and the things that make you, that's what, like, we have more pay for play radio here in terms of black radio in Milwaukee. If you think about it, you have V100, you have 98.3, and those are the two black, quote unquote, black radio stations. But if you think about the rest of the radio in terms of black talk radio and whatnot, it's pay for play, meaning you pay the station and they'll let you on. There's no cultivation of talent. There's no a collective of somebody saying, I want to get the best people to do the media and represent black Milwaukee. There's none of that. It's just you got money, you can get on the air. So damn near you can turn on the radio and hear damn near anything. Well, except for the truth. I take that back because I don't think Tory Lowe and those, they're not pay for play over there, but they're very limited in their reach. They haven't expanded their programming yet. So, but it's just very chitlin circuit. When I watch the news here, and there are more blacks now probably on the news here than there has been in a very long time. So shout out to all of you, one of the newscasters now, and you coming in and you at channel 58 or whatever. Yeah, shout out to you. But it's for so long, it's been whiter than white. It's like the Journal Sentinel and the news talk more about the suburbs than they talk about the city, unless it's some bad shit, unless somebody got their shit kicked in. TR Arthur said, glad you're doing much better. Still praying for you making a complete, speedy healing. Oh man, I'm on my way back, man. I'm gonna be tap dancing in a minute. He says Sharif Aleem. I'm not familiar with that brother. I don't know if somebody else here. He's from Milwaukee. I don't know him. Competition for no reason. Well, I mean, is any competition for no reason? I mean, if we all going after the same thing, you do got to compete for it. Yeah, TR Shaw, I'm getting better. Don't even worry, I'm straight. Like I wouldn't even complain, right? So sometimes things happen to you for a reason. Sometimes you got to be reminded to sit your ass down. And apparently for me, my back was saying that, like, sit your ass down. So I had to sit down. I'm good though. I'm good. God is good. I say that to anybody. I don't care if they believe in him or not. I tell them God is good. I don't care what you say. I'm somewhere. Because that's a big thing too. And that's I don't want to, like, my wife always tells me, like, sometimes I'm a little hard on the church. And I try not to be, because what I don't want to be is one of those black people who just say a bunch of stupid, shallow shit about religious people or church people. Because sometimes some people's reasoning for not, like, believing in, whatever religion or having any kind of spirituality, when you listen to their reasons, it's just like, you're like, what? That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. But so I never want to be that person. So I look at it from a business perspective and I say, okay, there used to be a time when you could, in the black community, we looked to the church for leadership. They provided a lot of things in the community. And it's just because I was engaged in a lot of grassroots organizing, and I got involved with, like, being out in the city and rolling with the Panthers, and seeing how things was done. And it was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy what I seen from that was going on in the city. So she said she was talking to Sean Moore, not me. Oh, my bad. Yeah, definitely shout out to the big homie. I hope he get better. I thought you was talking to me. Hell, I've been broke down too. Chris Johnson says the black media. Let's read this. Let's get this up here. I have a damn good time with this shit. The black media community has said they sold the community out. He says Gerald Jones, who owns 860 AM, has become a glorified Uncle Tom for Nation Consulting, and establishment Democrats who only use the black community for their votes around election season. Wow. Okay. See, Chris, you the type of cat that needs to call in. See, I need for you to call in, Chris, because I want the people to hear this, because I want them to and use a lot of big words. So I'm not as articulate as you, Chris. Chris is a writer. Chris is the proprietor of Kingfish MKE. Chris, you need to call in because, here's somebody else who's looked at as a staple in our community. He owns WNOV. Let's be honest. If you grew up in Milwaukee, at one point WNOV really represented something. It's a black-owned radio station. It has a newspaper. Like, we had our own black mogul. And where did you hear the latest black music, the latest black news, the latest black expression? It was WNOV until we get to like 1290, which is a whole different discussion. Rest in peace, right? He said he purposefully used the word Uncle Tom for Gerald Jones. Wow, that's crazy right there. So okay. And I've met Gerald Jones, man. I've met Gerald Jones, man. He's a different kind of brother. He's a unique brother. Unique brother. Um, we see that they've announced that Summerfest is back full board this year. All these signs are pointing to them just really dropping all kinds of. All right, Chris. He said he'll call in. All these signs of the restrictions and mandates that were in place for COVID are being slowly removed. Because I know Summerfest last year was like, you can come if you had the shot and bring evidence of it. Or it's like, what? I don't, fuck Summerfest. The one thing with me about Summerfest, okay, and I just talked all this shit about how I'm a proud Milwaukee and all this. I've never even been to Summerfest. I used to go to African World Festival when they had it at the Summerfest grounds. I've never been to Summerfest because most of the entertainment that they have is for white people. Now, they do have, and they have had some classic shows over the years that I've missed because I did want to see Morris Day and the time when they were here a couple years ago. And we had planned to go, myself and Westside Zeladon, we had planned to go. I can't remember what happened. Something happened and we ended up not going, but I did want to see them. There was some other bands, some old school bands that were here over the years. I know Kane was here last year, but here's the kicker. They had Kane on, it was like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, everybody's at work. Kane's like 50 people there. And it was funny because Big Daddy Kane got stuck trying to get over the gate. I was watching it on the live and shit. He was like stuck on the gate trying to get over, but there was nobody there. Like, so, and how don't you put, I guess, black people won't go to fighting on the lakefront. So I guess, I don't know. I don't know if that's their reasoning behind the way they move, but what black, normally they'd be like, so and so is booked for Summerfest. And then most of the time it's an artist where I'm like, so give some shit about him. Blake Shelton, I don't know. If you listen to country music, I guess that's your shit. But yeah, Summerfest is back, and because they got to get that money. They got to get that money. Shout out to Joey Phillips. What up, big homie? Shout out to my homie, man. My big brother, man. Joey Phillips, the man, the myth, the legend. Like I said, man. He said Word Warriors on WNOV was a great show for black information as well. It was. But that was a different time. That was a different time, JoJo. Like with Mike McGee Sr. on there. That was a different time in Milwaukee. And yeah, Word Warriors, but that was so raw and real. That was so to the point. Yeah, Word Warriors. Yeah, classic. I know we were on the there was a new radio station a couple years back when I was running with the Panthers. And they had I can't remember the call numbers, but Mike McGee Sr. was on because we had a show on there, the Panther Power Hour. And Mike McGee Jr. was on before us, and he used to play those Word Warrior shows on that station. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Joey Phillips. Who else we got? Chantel Gwynn. She said Charlie Wilson and Meg came last summer. Charlie Wilson. I almost said the Gap Band, but I didn't. I said Charlie Wilson. I mean, I didn't want to say it and just say Charlie Wilson. I wanted to say the Gap Band, but they didn't come last summer. It was him. Okay. And Meg Thee Stallion. Meg Thee Stallion. What's going on with Meg Thee Stallion? Let me talk about this for a second. What is this you sent me, Chris? This. He sent me a YouTube clip. I'm gonna have to open that up on my other device. But yeah, okay. So Meg Thee Stallion. What's going on with Meg Thee Stallion? And I know you sit down, your old ass, what you doing looking at Meg Thee Stallion? First of all, I'm also known as the hip hop snob. So shout out to everybody. I've had so many rappers on this show, classic rappers, MC Shan, Big Mike, Tweet Cadillac, AMG, man, just a bunch of rappers. Willie D. I had a bunch of real established hip hop. Hip hop is my life, my soundtrack. So I was paying attention, and the reason I bring Meg Thee Stallion up because if you go back and listen back when she first came out, I was saying I thought that in terms of her lyrics and in terms of her cleverness, I thought she had some pretty witty wordplay. I thought she was, she had like kind of like an old school Houston flow. And if you came up on the rap a lot joints like I did with the Ghetto Boys and all that kind of stuff, there's the UGK and Tila and Suave House. There's a kind of Houston kind of thing, right? Like, so, which is one of my favorite regions in hip hop, by the way. But I felt like she kind of had that going for her, but I was worried that she might pigeonhole herself, right? Because if everything is hypersexualized, if everything is just gutter, sex, nasty, freak, look, booty, 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 if it's all that, then that's pretty much who people start to think you are, and they think that that's the only capacity or purpose that you have. So I was saying I would hope that she start to evolve a little bit and kind of change the direction of her music to be taken more seriously. And I don't know how far this is going. I don't know if because when I hear her music, I haven't heard any kind of evolution sonically or otherwise. It seems like it's getting a little bit more raunchy, but it's all good. I've been young. I understand that. I understand hip hop has a part of it that's about sex. It's just like, anything else. But my thing is now there's like behind the scenes stuff, like she was allegedly shot in her foot by, was it Tory Lanez, the little bitty dude, little bitty R&B dude. They said he shot her in the foot, and then there's some accusations that she may have lied, and he didn't shoot her. And then, so she's going back and forth on like I think Instagram with the brother named Carl Crawford. If you don't know who that is, he's a former Major League Baseball player who made a lot of money and decided to invest in the music industry. So he has a label, and apparently it's Megan Thee Stallion's label. So they've had contractual squabbles this whole time, because she doesn't like the contract she signed, so on and so forth. But like she's going in and just talking about him and just dissing him, and he comes out and he says, like, you basically calls her a drunk and says she's a hoe who screwed the whole industry instead of including her best friend's boyfriend, which is alludes to why she was shot. And I was like, damn. And I just hear, you see now, if you pay attention to this shit, once again, we go from high vibrations to low vibrations with our conversation, right? Now I'm on some cheerleader for foolishness shit. On social media, they're saying so many celebrities and rappers unfollowed her, the females. So what does she do? There's accusations that they now finding out that she's lied. And so it's like the industry is turning against her. And so that's why I was saying, through her music, hopefully her comeback, or her, they say a setback is a setup for a comeback. I hope it centers around her really speaking about some of her real artistic inspiration, meaning come with the real lyrics, the real life shit now, because we've heard all the freak shit. We've heard WAP. We've seen you. Okay. It's like now after a certain point, you be like, hey, there's a picture of Meg Thee Stallion with like a thong on. Oh, well, that's the norm. Like if people just are surprised when you got on clothes, you naked too much. Just kind of like an FYI. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying in terms of how she's perceived, because we want black women. We always talk about imagery, and we want black men to be presented in with positive images. So we want sisters to be respected as well. So a lot of times when it's seen like, she's this exotic freak, jungle, nasty, jungle boogie, booty, shaky, white dudes get that becomes like a fetish for them. And so sometimes sisters start thinking, oh, that white man really appreciates you. Well, he's fascinated by you because he's like, he got a pet monkey or something. So, right. Like, don't do monkey jokes, Kevin. Don't do monkey jokes. Don't do monkey jokes on the show. Tiasha Arthur, Frankie Beverly and Mays was always at Summerfest. Cameo, Anthony Hamilton, Charlie Wilson. You have to go by the Harley Davidson and Briggs and Stratton stages. Even Eddie Butt's band is there a lot. Right. So yeah, I've never been. Right. That's why I said I don't know. I said I don't know. I've never been because I'm not really a concert dude. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't really like crowds. I don't like a bunch of people around me who I don't know. Like I'm real paranoid about that shit. Like I'd be looking around like, what he standing over there for and shit. Like what he got behind his back. Like I don't. But yeah, so that's good if you've gone down there over the years and you've kicked it. That's why I was saying I didn't give a shit about Summerfest. To some people, it made their day. Like yes, I get to go back to Summerfest this year and shit and get a $12 bottle of water. What? Beer costs $8 a cup. I'm just gonna get drunk before I go. So yeah, man. Yeah, but shout out to you, man. If you happy about that, if you're a person that's like, okay, I'm happy the restrictions are being lifted so I can get out more and I can, that's cool too. I can see how people who are used to being at like different social events would appreciate that. I'm just not one of them because I don't care about Summerfest. I don't get. That's like telling me, hey, the Brewer game is free. I don't even care. I wouldn't go to a free Brewer game. You know, what do that say about me? You ain't no real Milwaukeean, right? You know, we talk about positive black images. One of the brothers right now that I think is doing big things, and he's not getting his credit, is Deion Sanders. If you have paid attention to Deion Sanders, man, I always thought that Deion Sanders was a stand-up dude, because, you know, if you hear about him, he was always talking about religion. He talked about it one time, having vices with the women and, you know, the money and the flashy stuff, but he's always presented the image of being a good father. So even with his coaching, with his reality shows and all this kind of stuff, he's coached his own kids, he's mentored a lot of kids. And he's the coach of Jackson State, and he's working very hard to put HBCU schools and athletics on the map. He hosted a HBCU Pro Day. If you don't know what a Pro Day is, it's basically the day when all of the pro scouts come out to different colleges to see their athletes. And typically NFL coaches don't go to the HBCU schools, right? So shout out to Courtney. What's up, Courtney? I see you in the chat room. But so Deion Sanders put one together for HBCUs and said, nah, we deserve the same kind of recognition. He's actually campaigning for some equality in terms of, because if you look at these Division 1A universities that are like athletic factories, be it the NBA or the NFL, they have like hundreds of millions of dollars earned, billions of dollars earned. The NCAA has made billions on the backs of a lot of young brothers. And we know for years that athletes were not able to be compensated. A lot of that's changed now, because they have these NIL deals where you have recruits who are able to sign now. Like, if you go here, we can get you an endorsement. You can make money while you're there. But Deion Sanders is fighting for that kind of equality, so that but it does make sense. Like, how are the HBCU athletic programs not the best ones, when for so very long those historically white colleges and universities wouldn't even allow us in their schools or on their teams? So at that point, the HBCUs had all the best. And you know how many NFL Hall of Famers there are who were not drafted because they went to a HBCU, which is, we talk about Eddie Robinson at Grambling. He won so many games because he always had a super whip of brothers who couldn't go to D1A schools, the SECs, the Alabamas, the Texas, and these kinds of schools. If you really want to know how this thing progresses, go and watch. There's actually a documentary out on it now. It's a game that was played in the 60s. It was Bear Bryant, who's the coach, the legendary coach of Alabama Crimson Tide, and he went to California to play John McKay, and he was the coach of USC at that point, and he had a bunch of black athletes, and at that point black athletes couldn't play in the SEC, right? Imagine the SEC now without black athletes, right? Be like the Ivy League, right? People like the Ivy League be cracking. Okay, you get what I'm saying. But so they went. Now allegedly they're saying Bear Bryant was intentional about this because he had a problem with the segregation and the fact that black players couldn't play in the SEC. Supposedly when he was asked about it one time, he said, I won't be the first one to bring in a black player, but I'll support it once it starts happening. So, see, we got a caller. Chris, turn down your device for me.
Done.
Chris Johnson, what's popping with you, my brother?
Feeling good. How about you? How about yourself?
Man, I am tight. I got this microphone in front of me, so everything is all right.
All right. Well, let it be known, brother. Let it be known.
How you feel, man? What's up with Kingfish, man?
Hey, man, we're excited. We're getting ready for a renewal this year, expanding our social media presence. We're gonna have a campaign in which we invite people to come and subscribe to Kingfish so they can find out what's really going on in our community here in Milwaukee.
Okay. Now you had some strong opinions in regards to Chevy, and when I start talking about the media, you know. So let's start with Chevy, because they've been hearing my voice all night. So now what the issue is, like, because you called him a puppet, and you said he's basically perpetrating an elected official. Tell these people why you feel the way you feel in regards to that.
Well, you have to look at the history of Chevy and the Barrett administration. Chevy started off as a intern in Mayor Barrett's office. They orchestrated an effort to get him elected as an alderman. When former alderman ran for mayor, that's Joe Davis, and they utilized a lot of Tom Barrett's resources to get him in office. And then after they got him in office, they made sure to maneuver him where he didn't have a true representation of the Black community. They really geared him towards appeasing Tom Barrett's campaign contributors as well as financial supporters, which is in direct correlation with the effort to further suppress the Black community. It goes back to one of the things that they used to do, a lot of the Black elected officials, was to brag about the amount of money that was raised for downtown Milwaukee. One older person, who I won't mention by name, excuse me, they bragged about the fact that they were part of an initiative to raise $2 billion worth of investments for downtown Milwaukee. However, what they did not mention was how much money they raised for their own district.
Okay.
So you can brag about raising $2 billion worth of investments towards downtown Milwaukee, and Mayor Barrett's financial contributors, like the downtown real estate developers, as well as the Bucks owners and several other groups of constituencies. But one thing they are not able to talk about is the amount of investment dollars in our community, even though they're our elected officials, our publicly elected officials. So one of the things that I really question with Chevy Johnson's nomination or his candidacy is the fact that we need to start understanding who these people really represent. Chevy Johnson does not represent the Black community, nor even the constituencies to which he has been elected to represent. He is representing former Mayor Tom Barrett's financial contributors and colleagues, not the community in which he has been elected to represent.
Okay.
Therefore, that is the reason why I say he is a puppet pretending to be a publicly elected official.
Okay. Okay. And now what about Donovan? Like, what people would say, well, okay, so what's the flip side? Why should I vote for Donovan? What could be the benefit?
The one thing I'll always say, and as your listeners hear from me, as we promote with Kingfish, we don't tell you who you should vote for or who you should support. We like to present the information, and then you make your decision. But the one thing you'll get from Kingfish, which you don't get from the Community Journal with Michael Holt, you won't get with the Courier with Gerald Jones. You will not get on 860 AM, which is controlled by Gerald Jones, through a long issue with IRS and ownership. That's another story that we'll probably write about in Kingfish later. But what we are going to do is present the truth in its rarest form. I mean, I think one of the shows that Mike McGee Sr. had was called The Butt Naked Truth.
Okay. Butt Naked Truth.
And that's what you're going to get from Kingfish, the Butt Naked Truth.
Butt Naked Truth. Okay. Okay. Now you talked about the city attorney, and Tierman's a friend of the show. So can you get some detail to what these new accusations are?
Not really.
Okay. What is the
All I know is what's been presented online,
okay.
which is that there is a second allegation of sexual harassment in the workplace.
Okay.
And that's all I really know at this point in time.
Okay.
As you and I have discussed, even one time when you had Tierman on this very podcast,
Right.
uh, you know, the establishment Democrat, including Mayor Barrett, including Chevy Johnson, including Nation Consulting, which a lot of the black community doesn't know about Nation Consulting and their influence here in Milwaukee politics. The one thing that I do know is that they didn't want Tierman in that position.
Okay.
And these are the kind of games that the city of Milwaukee, historically, while dealing with the Barrett administration, they play these type of tactical games to politically assassinate people that get in elected positions that they don't necessarily want. And Tierman was able to win the city of attorneys elected official, and they are not happy, just like they were not happy when Dr. Patricia McManus was put in charge or voted on as commissioner of the Milwaukee Health Department. These are very critical positions that typically they want their own people in charge, not necessarily who the people want.
Okay. 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 So I once again I would say if there's another sexual harassment allegation towards Tierman, it might be time to reconsider the strategy. I think you maybe got to monitor some of your interactions. What the hell is going on? And then we can never dismiss the possibility that this might be a situation where the powers that be who are not happy with a black man being in that seat are coming after him.
Completely.
Okay. Okay.
And this is, like I said, this is not the first time. We recently went through this with Dr. Patricia McManus when she was put over in charge of the health department, which is critically failing our community. As far as the lead poisoning epidemic, these children are being poisoned, and because of political posturing, we're not able to really go after the issue at hand, which is really possibly criminal charges within the Barrett administration that Chevy Johnson continues to want to support and defend.
Okay. Oh man.
So
wow.
It's a lot going on, but I also like to make a statement about one of the things you brought up earlier, which is this is a special election. This election will be over in April, and we will have a new election in November of 2024. And we've got a lot of work to do. We have got to get control of our government. Right now, it's a free-for-all. I mean, for Chevy Johnson to mention his continuation of the downtown streetcar, which is sucking $3 million every year out of the city budget, and yet no one wants it. It's apparent no one wants it because no one rides it. And you talking about expanding it, not to areas where there is a need for job creation. You want to expand it to the Buck Stadium, and at that cost, to expand it that little, it's not feasible to think that this is a good use of public dollars.
Correct. I agree. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if I don't disagree with you on any of that. I just like for people, I hate for people with doing what we call talking out the side of their neck. So people who say something
Yep.
about somebody, but then when you ask them why, they can't tell you why and shit. Like it's like, dude, well, I don't like him. Why you don't like him? I don't know. I just don't like him. Like what? But that don't make no sense. So I'm glad you was able to elaborate on that, man. I want you to really be able to expand Kingfish, because when you talk about Nation Consulting and stuff like that, a lot of people don't even know what that is. They don't understand that whole concept of Nation Consulting's contribution to what's going on in our government here in the city of Milwaukee. People don't understand what impact they have and who they are. So, and we talk about lobbyists and special interest groups, and what they say in Milwaukee, follow the money. People don't know about
Yep.
that stuff, and Kingfish puts a lot of people up on that kind of information, man. So people need to get up on it.
And thank you for saying that. And if I can,
Did we lose Chris? I think I might have lost him.
no, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I just wanted to also acknowledge, what Outlaw Radio does, because, in Milwaukee, what we have is a lack of a fair media environment. We're not getting the information we should, and Milwaukee's not by itself. I mean, this is going on across the country. So what we need to do is make sure we start embracing our local and community, voices.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Community Journal and the Courier used to actually be a voice for the community. Now they've just become, basically corporate advertising whores, that dance for money. They're the corporate America's private dancers. They'll do anything, they want them to do.
And do something strange for a piece of change.
That's it. Well, you can say it that way. I try to put it in perspective of some old school R&B.
Right.
I'm your private. They're just the private dancer of.
Wow. Yeah, man. Yeah, I can dig it. Once again, that's what I say. Is so much going on in Milwaukee, and we need like a reset for our media here. Like we need to start getting.
Yes, we do.
We got to hit reset and start over and like really have. And there's some outlets. So there's like people who run around here. I know when we had the county initiative passed to start the community restoration centers, there were several small papers, Urban Milwaukee, and all kinds of smaller papers that are, and there's WGLB here. But like I was saying, for the most part, when it comes to talk radio, aside from the Truth or whatever that is, the Truth, what is it, 101, that the news station, everything else is pay for play. So it's like if you want to get on, you got to pay. Like WNOV doesn't go out and hire local talent. If you got enough money, you can go on their station and say whatever you want. So then that kind of changes the quality of the information that you receive. I'm not knocking them because I'm not no hater, and this is a non-hater kind of thing that we do here. I just call it for tell the truth about what it actually is. Radio is an industry that's set up with different people to perform different roles for a reason. When you say we'll get rid of all of that and just say how much money you got, okay, you can get on from here to here. I mean, even though I know that the owner kind of micromanages what people can say and who they can say it about on the station. I do understand that, but I just feel like some of the programming is not necessarily is I mean, people don't want to hear it. So people say, well, you hate, but dude, how many people can tell me they honestly listen to the Al Sharpton show? I'm realistically, I don't. How many?
I can't. I'll be honest with you. I can't say anybody.
Right. Did you hear Sharpton today? Oh, he was good. You rarely hear that. Like
I have not heard that.
And that's who WNOV had, like they syndicate him. And so, and believe me, I've heard his show. So people say, well, Kev, you're doing the same. No, I've heard his show. It's very old school. It's Al Sharpton. But what I know about Al Sharpton, Okay, and I would encourage you to do your research. I'm not saying who he is now or if what he does is just, but it's a lot of shady things and a lot of heat coming off the end of that couch in regards to Al Sharpton. He's one of the leaders that we look at, and somebody else would have to like kind of validate this accusation. I feel like during the 80s, there was a certain amount of leaders who basically did equality for a price, right? Like, so if you got enough
Sure.
money, we'll come here. Like, there was proven that Jesse Jackson basically extorted Coke and said, you know what, unless you give us this money, and then once you paid the money, then we fixed it, y'all. We came to a conclusion. Everything is all good. So there was a group, and Al Sharpton was one of those civil rights activists. And the Tawana Brawley thing didn't, is a lot of. I mean, the fact that he was a really fat dude who used to wear like workout gear, but he never lost weight was funny too, with a big ass perm. But now he's skinny, so now he like looks like a microphone. Like his head is too big for that's a whole thing.
Well, he's skinny. He's skinny with a perm now.
He looks like a matchstick. Like it's like
right.
So it's funny. T.R. Arthur said I listen to him every now and then. I've heard his show. That's what I'm saying. But I don't. The people who call in to Al Sharpton show, I'm gonna go ahead and keep it a buck, as they say. The whole time that I would listen, most of the people who called into his show sound like they was like somebody's grandparents. It wasn't really speaking to my generation. It was, it's one of those like WNOV right now. Most of the people who listen to WNOV are elderly people. I'm not trying to hate on them. I'm saying I've been in, like, you go in a restaurant like Perkins, and it's playing on the radio, and everybody's, I retired. I worked 40 years at Alice Chalmers, and I retired, and I lived right up the street. I bought my house in 1960. It's like, yeah, this is your demographic. And ain't nothing wrong with them. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
They're voters.
They vote.
They vote.
They vote, man. They vote.
They vote.
Yeah, because they own their shit. They always just, like, man, they don't come fix the street enough. My street light gone out.
Now, let me tell you something that may be considered offensive, but I would dare anyone to question me on the factualness.
Okay.
Most of those people that you're referring to, I know many of them. I grew up in Milwaukee like you. That go to the Perkins. They used to go to QF&H. If anybody knows anything about the history of, they know where and what QF&H was. QF&H and Perkins, they were related. And I used to work with QF&H.
Oh, okay.
And one thing I know about that group is they're very set in their way. And so one of the things that I tell people, if you really want to make change here in Milwaukee, you got to get to the other people. Because those folks that go to community brainstorming every month, them folks that go to the NAACP every month, those folks that go to not urban Milwaukee, but the various old civil rights organizations, they're not going to change. They're going to keep voting for elected officials that really don't do anything for them, but they keep voting for them because either name recognition or family history, or because of back in the day, somebody gave somebody a chicken dinner when they was hungry.
Chicken dinner.
You know what I'm saying? With some, dinner. With some collards,
I feel like you really stereotyping black people right now. Like, you really shitting on black people. It's just like, what? Hey, sold your soul for some
some macaroni and cheese,
some dressing and shit.
Hey, you ain't gonna touch my cornbread.
That's crazy, man. Once again, though, like you that there's a generation gap, because I think a lot of those brothers and sisters came here as young people, and they found a way out of the situation. They was coming from the South, so they was running from Jim Crowism, and so they came up here and they were able to get jobs and get a piece of the American dream. I bought me a house. You know, I bought several vehicles. I mean, and some of those people have money. They've saved, they've earned it. They've earned the right to live in a peaceful community and enjoy their golden years. But it's like they don't evolve at all. So, like you said, like those
No.
people. Now, that's why I said, if you really think about it, the people who are pro Barrett, who feel like Barrett has done a good job at running this city for the last 17 years, they don't have a problem with Chevy. They're going to vote for him. And so you can count on those people to turn out. So when I hear black people, a lot of black people saying, I'm not voting for dude, like dude is a puppet or he's a coon or he's a, you know what? Some of those political, those people are partisan politically based people. So damn, it took me forever to get that shit out. They're people who, like, older black people really swear by Democrats. I've had old black people say, now hold on now, I'm a Democrat now. And they say that shit with some pride where I'm supposed to be like, ooh, oh shit. And I'm always like, oh, you proud of? Don't tell nobody else that shit. Like
right.
Like, why are you claiming, like, you claiming a gang that you ain't in? We used to call that false flagging. Like, they don't give a shit about you. So, you know, that's why I try to tell Orlando about his love for the Republicans. It ain't even about you being a conservative black man. It's about you thinking that these white people actually give a shit about you. That's when I see you on a picture with some Belgian draft horses at the Ozaki County Fair, I'm knowing behind the smile on their face, they're like, what is this nigger doing here? Does anybody know him? Like, it's like, come on. They don't give a fuck about you, Orlando. If Wisconsin doesn't show you or teach you anything, is that they don't give a shit about people of color. This state is 86% white. It is very hard for them to give a fuck about people of color because 85% of the people of color in this state, which is only 8%, I don't want to hit y'all with too many percentages, but we make up 8% of the state. 85% to 90% of that population lives in southeastern Wisconsin. So that tells you the rest of this big ass state is white people. It's their turf. It's where they roam. It's their land, and they'll let your ass know. So it's just like when we move out into, we see these pictures. This picture of this Kenosha Kenosha Police Department officer who's in the school working as a resource officer with his knee on the back of the 12-year-old sister's neck, right? Like, so we'll hurry up and say, we'll send my kids out to the suburbs to go to school. The MPS ain't shit. And then they get out there and it's like they in the 50s and shit. They got to deal with all this racism. So, you know, Wisconsin is it's a unique place. It's a unique slice of pie, man. The Midwest period. This shit really was not established for us. People got to understand, we came here via the Great Migration. That's how this area of the country didn't have a whole lot of us. You know what I mean? So we came here in Milwaukee. I always tell people, well, in 1950, there was 10,000 black people in Milwaukee. By 1960, it was 100,000.
Yep.
So that goes to show you.
And then going to the 1980s, you know, after the welfare reform with Tommy Thompson, that number exploded.
Right. So, you know, it's understanding our position here. I did a show last night called Players and Pawns, and I challenged a lot of people to figure out where they are at. And I'm not talking about players as in Jerome off Martin. I'm talking about, well, Kamar so articulately said, is that a black word? Articulately. He said,
no, by no means. That's a legitimate word. Articulately.
I said lily though, you know, but black people take a T out. I said articulately. So
okay. I didn't catch
that. He said that it's about being a factor in whatever game you're involved in. So how many black real estate factors are there here? Which and they can affect change through what they do business wise, banking, legal. Factors, medical doctors, like there's more Indian doctors now. Okay, people always say, getting on us about talking about the amount of Arab grocery stores and gas stations and liquor stores, and now they cook us chicken and shit like this, and we say, well, they exploiting our community, and people say how, and I'm gonna say, based on this fact, there's more Indian doctors in the medical system now than there's ever been, that have come to America as immigrants with their parents, made a lot of money off Newports, blunts, and pork rinds, and grew up in Cedarburg and went on to Marquette or UW-Madison and become doctors, medical doctors. You go try to read all the doctors. I just had surgery. My doctor was an Arab. He has an Indian name. Are Arabs and Indians the same thing? I don't know. I lump them in.
They're not.
Okay. I lump them in. I guess that's the racist in me and shit. Got to be honest about it.
It's not racist. It's just being uninformed.
Okay, well, I'm just ignorant.
I didn't say ignorant. I said uninformed.
I said it. It's okay. I said it.
And I was uninformed. I didn't know the difference between Asians and Middle Easterners my damn self.
Okay. Well, I knew Asians. I say Japanese, Chinese. When we say Asians,
Yeah, but let me share something with you, brother. Indians from the nation of India, those are Asians.
Okay. Now, are we talking about land bridge type shit? What they call it, Pantagena? What was it called when it was just one big ass continent? What was it called? Patagonia, and then the land bridge. Shout out to Chantel Gwen.
Right.
She said, thanks for sharing positive facts. That's why we need Outlaw Radio and other platforms to speak out on subjects that need to be discussed in our community. Thank you, Chantel Gwen. I appreciate that. You know what? And so Kingfish is what we right now. It's a shame that we would consider Kingfish some like alternative media in Milwaukee. But with Outlaw Radio, it's and the People's Network is like it's alternative. Because and I really wanted to come on here and talk some shit about celebrities and what's going on in Hollywood and hip hop, and I always get involved in these goddamn grown people conversations. So I guess because I read Kingfish and a lot of other shit, I'm kind of that's like what I do, right? Paris LaShawn said Pangea. He said Pangea. Is that what it is? Pangea. Okay, so I was Chris said they're Asian, so we call them Indians. Some people call them Native Americans. There's a lot of people who say they're not even the indigenous people. They say black people are. Like, we were here way before the white people. There's pictures of Native Americans back in the days that look just like black people. But there's pictures of Cubans who look like black people and Puerto Ricans who look like black people and Spaniards and all kinds. So I'm thinking black people was just all over this planet at a certain point.
Hey, man, you talking about the black diaspora.
Right. Everybody got a little African in them, whether they like it or not, man. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, brother, you preaching now.
Hey, Tupac say I get around. People didn't know that he meant that. Like, as a black man, we've been around. Like, what we've been everywhere, right?
That's right.
That Johnny Cash song, I've been everywhere, man. So I always crack up.
I've been everywhere.
So, Chris, we gotta do a better job, man. And you and I'll sit down, man, and we'll brainstorm about ways so people will be able to find Kingfish and find Outlaw Radio and just increase our marketing position in the city. And let people know that the alternative has arrived. That you don't have to keep waiting on it, man. So we'll figure it out. Yeah, man. I've already given us a name. I've already said we are the Information Gang. Welcome to the Word Mob.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes, sir, man. Man, I sure appreciate you for supporting your boy on Outlaw Nation, Chris. I don't want to keep you up all night. I know you got money to get. You like the old Jewish dude, my Semitic people. I gotta get up in the morning. I got money to get.
All right, I appreciate you.
All right, my brother.
All right.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Chris Johnson, man. Shout out to Chris Johnson. It's my partner right there, man. I chop it up with Chris all the time, and I tell people I've heard a lot of things before they actually happen because I was talking to Chris Johnson, and he has the funniest line. He'll say, "Kev, I'll tell you something, but if you tell somebody I told you, I'll say you was a motherfucking lie." So he'll pass me the information like that, but the shit ain't never been false or phony. So shout out to Chris Johnson, man. A couple years, man. We've been rocking now. He's been rocking with the People's Network. So we're always talking about ways to really bring this thing back to what it should be, man. It is 9:00, man. Time flies when you talking shit. I guarantee you. I never intend for this show to go this long. I swear I'm gonna be on about an hour, 45 minutes, and I end up talking my ass off. Ernest Walker said that he was talking about gummies, and there's an article that I put up in the People's News Network about Mayim Bialik. And a lot of people, who's that? Well, it's a white girl, a white actress who played Blossom in the 90s. I don't know if y'all remember the show Blossom. She has come up with some gummies, some CBD gummies to counter the effects of like some sicknesses, and it's shown some real healing powers and stuff like that. And the big farmers after her. They on their heels. They're trying to discredit her. They are trying to, get at her because of her the thing she's pushing, this product, the CBD gummies, are so potent, and they work so well that it's making people walk away from certain medications, man. So go to the People's News Network and check that out. Just in case you was hearing a conversation about gummies. I don't know, word association, gummies. When I hear gummies, I start thinking about that. Like, they had Blossom asked for that shit too. But if I just said that, y'all wouldn't know what the hell I was talking about. Look, one person we never have said anything about on this show is Ron Johnson, who's a senator, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But this dude is like, he's a wild white boy. Like, he's an old white dude, and he's one of those like politicians, white politicians. He's one of the reasons why we think of old white Republicans the way we do. Obviously he doesn't give two shits about people of color. And he said that during COVID, he told people to drink mouthwash and they'll be okay. I was listening to some stuff today, and I understand that campaign, advertisements can be a bit slanted, but they were talking about this dude was actually in Russia. He's been in Russia because there's a Republican affiliation with the Russians that still ain't been totally exposed yet. And I said that because when Donald Trump was in office, there's a lot of accusations of his affiliation and his friendship with Putin and Russia. Putin is Russia's leader. But so, Ron Johnson was over there, and he was speaking out against American sanctions against them and stuff like that. And so I don't know if he's turned patriot. Now, white people, when there's some fighting and shit, they all become patriots. Oh, fucking yeah, man, USA. They all become patriots. But this dude is like a counterproductive individual to people of color in our state. So we need to start paying more attention to this dude, man. Ron Johnson, Senator Ron Johnson, and he's empowered. He has a lot of oomph. So that's why I say when you got a powerful white politician that's been in for a long time, you find out that this is why bullshit floats a lot, because they can have their way because they're so well connected. So let's get aware, right? And let's try to figure out how. I always talk about when we discover somebody is anti us, we want to expose and ostracize and remove, right? We want to do, that's what we want to do with them. So we want to figure out a way to at least have a counter to this dude's foolishness. And that's the thing, even in Madison, and shout out to Lena Taylor, who's a friend of the show. I just don't feel like we have a strong enough voice in Madison. We get our ass kicked by the county. We get our ass kicked by the city. As I'm talking about people of color and black leaders, we get our ass kicked on every level. We get our ass kicked by the city, the county. Then we go to the Madison and get our ass kicked. In Congress, in the Senate, we get our ass kicked all the time. Like, we don't have enough strong black voices. We need to bring back the days of somebody like Adam Clayton Powell, who will go in there and really don't take no shit and put it down. Let me see. Oh, Chantel Gwynn, she's talking about, can you please share the information on the donor drive at the Silver Spring Neighborhood Center this Saturday, March 26th, hosted by the Versity Blood Center. I got it up on the screen. Let's save lives. The children and families are in need of support. Shout out to Chantel Gwynn, and she represents Team Kaylin Strong. So, and this is a blood drive in regards to aplastic anemia. I think that's correct, Miss Gwynn. I try to share this information in the People's News Network. Like I said, I know Armando Duckworth was sharing it. I've seen a lot of people passing this message along, but I would definitely ask anybody who's listening to the show right now to pass this information along. A lot of people don't know anything about aplastic anemia. It's like a lot of blood disorders that we suffer from, that like, it's like sickle cell. And that's what it's one of those things that made me kind of I told you, I've said this many times. I reiterated it last night on Outlaw Radio. The one thing I'm coming out of this pandemic with is a really mistrust of our government. Like, I distrust the government now more than I ever have. I've always been a skeptic, but now really, because it's like the information that we've been given. So when I talk about something like sickle cell, something that disproportionately affects people of color, and we have no cure for that, but they're able to kind of counter everything else when they want to. Right now, do you realize there's pills that people are taking? There's medication that people are taking that can reduce the level of HIV in their blood to the point where it's undetectable, and they're even saying that they can no longer transmit it through sexual contact. We're talking about HIV. We're talking about AIDS. This is what we used in the city to call this that package. That motherfucker got that package, right? And so we talking about sickle cell, but we ain't no answer for that. You know, with diabetes and high blood pressure, we don't know what to do about that shit. We don't know, but because it disproportionately affects people of color. So that makes me not trust our government. It makes me think like, somebody once told me, and I believe me, y'all, I'm working on this conspiracy theory show. I just got to get my top conspiracy theories, because when I talk about conspiracies, I want to go deep. I want to be some shit. I want people to say, damn, because I've heard them all. So I got to get like Rick Muhammad. I got to get a bunch of people on here, man. That really who be on the. I know Courtney is a big time conspiracy theorist. So I want to do a show on that. But I just I just don't trust the government, because I look at, once again, we are the first to go and the last to know. That's how I feel about this country, and that's why I don't trust the government to share information. I keep hearing people say, well, we want to prevent the vaccine and keep people from dying, so we want them to take the vaccination. And I'm saying, okay, but in the next sentence you'll hear that the vaccination does not prevent you from getting or transmitting COVID, but they said it'll make it so you won't die, so you'll be less sick. And I'm like, that don't even make sense. And then they say, go get a booster shot. Booster shot for what? You want me to get a booster shot for the vaccine that doesn't prevent me from getting it or transmitting it? What am I boosting? What's in the needle? Fuck is in the needle? Come on, man. I need to know. I need to know what's in the needle. And people say, don't worry about that. That kills me. Don't worry about it. That's what people say. You don't know what's in everything you take on. Don't worry about it. All right. TR, and I'm not an anti-vaxxer either. Don't get that in there. And I'm a COVID survivor. I had COVID, so I get to say whatever the fuck I want about COVID. Unless it's some false shit. People say you don't get to spread lies, like some of our most prominent media outlets in regards to COVID information. Ron Johnson, this is TR Arthur. She said, Ron Johnson needs to get voted out. How are you, a Wisconsin senator? And was with number 45 saying we did voter fraud. Yeah, well, all the politicians that stood with Trump, nobody even called them to task. Man, do you realize we watched those white people crawling up the wall of the Capitol that look like roaches with the lights on? And so many white people, as we call it in the black community, throwing the rock, hiding your hand. So many Trump supporters who love Trump, some of you black Trump supporters too. And you still don't even want to admit the fact that Trump geeked all that shit up, right? Like, and Trump was on some subversive shit with white militias and these pro-white Aryan groups. Where the fuck you call them? White supremacist type shit. And a lot of Republicans was down with that, and they backed up off of it. So yeah, Ron Johnson, I mean, that's what I just got done talking about, him being in Russia with giving these speeches saying he doesn't disagree with sanctions and this kind of thing. I don't even have to say double standard, because we already know if this is a black politician, he gets his shit pushed back. If he do that, his whole career is over. They be playing that shit forever. That shit be viral by now. But and people got to look at it. There's some real live truth to the fact that there was some tampering going on with the votes and with social media. And why you think Facebook was taking a task? They've all but admitted it. And we supposed to believe that they're going straight now, because under Facebook it say by Meta, right? That make us feel a little bit better. And they said our bad. And people say, well, Kev, you do your show on Facebook. Why not? If this is where the people are, because hopefully if we can spread a message to people so that they will, they say you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. I believe information should be given so that people can prepare for certain things. If you know, you can prepare. So, and if they took me out, I find another platform. It's just that thing. It's just, that's how it is. I don't, I mean, go to YouTube. Facebook owns. Do they own everything? I know they own Instagram. I don't know if they own YouTube, but we're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. Go subscribe to our YouTube page too. That shit's sad. Like, damn. We are not representing on YouTube for the People's Network, man. Go subscribe to our YouTube page with the gypsiness, man. Hurry up. Get over there. Let's get this shit on. I don't see Milwaukee represented well enough at all on YouTube, right? Like, I see all the talkers and the podcasters and the content creators, or maybe I'm just not in the loop. That's why I'm saying, if you up here and you doing something positive or progressive, reach out to me, man. How will I know? Unless we get here, right? So that's why I'm gonna take Outlaw Radio out into the community a little bit. Give me a second to do so. Chantel Gwen said bone marrow. Well, here we go again. Another one. I'm gonna put this up. She said, thanks for the support. No doubt. No doubt. That's what we do. Bone marrow and blood transfusions are needed for sickle cell patients. She said 46% of minorities have the trait. So it may not directly suffer from this right now, but it can hit close to home. We just want the resources available to save lives. Exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, because as a black person, you can go and test positive for the trait and not have it or not give it to anybody. But when I lost a cousin, man, rest in peace to my cousin, Sammy Guide, man. Um, yeah, he passed away from sickle cell. He had it for a very long time. 46%. First of all, how's that even possible? What kind of Jimmy Rig shit is that? That's another reason I'd have to bring people on here who can give you the layers on it. Because how does this happen? That's 40%, 46%. And it's not like you can say, well, people who are African, because we are so diluted in terms of our direct lineage to Africa. A lot of us, a white man, been in the slave quarters for a long time, right? A lot of us is more Irish than we is African, right? I mean, you can get me started talking about St. Patrick's Day. Shout out to all the black people who celebrated St. Patrick's Day. And I used to get mad when I would see that, but then I started to understand that there's some theories about pygmies being the original Irish people, right? There's some accusations that St. Patrick was the one who, is a religious leader who came and led them out and ran them out of their native lands, and they were able to take it over. So maybe people who've been all these years, I'm like, you dumbass, you dressed up for St. Patrick's Day with your black ass. And now, hey, black people maybe should be wearing those shirts that say, kiss me, I'm Irish, right? Irish people pissed, right? What are they talking about? That was a horrible Irish accent. I don't think I've ever tried to do an Irish accent before. Y'all be on the lookout, man, because we got a gospel versus coming. Mary Mary is going to go against, oh my gosh, I had this information. Mary Mary is going to go against, is it Sounds of Blackness? Is it? I got to go. Damn, I had this on my notes and I can't find it. I know it's Mary Mary, so it'll be a gospel versus. I don't know how this will, I'm thinking about when I say versus, shit done really slowed up since 666 Mafia and Bone got to show their ass, right? Like, remember at one point it was verses popping off every month, and since they love like bottle throwing, ass whooping, is like, okay, it ain't been that many verses, but they're gonna do one now for a gospel verses. This is gonna be very interesting. Like, and we know the verses, depending on who the artists are, because there's some that are very friendly, in which two artists basically celebrate each other and acknowledge each other, and then there's some like the Bone. Most of the hardcore hip hop ones, when you see Jeezy and Gucci Mane, where Gucci Mane is rapping about killing this guy and shit in front of him, and then you see like an E40 and Too Short, where it's all love, and so it varies, but it'll be very interesting to see how this goes and how they do it. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch it with my wife. I'm pretty sure she'll want to watch it. I've always been a Mary Mary fan. I've always thought they were some talented sisters. If it Sounds of Blackness, no, it's not. It's BB and CeCe Winans, right? Shame on me. It's BB and CeCe Winans against Mary Mary. It's in the People's News Network. If you think I'm jacking, as we say in Milwaukee, you think I'm jacking? It's in the People's News Network, as is a lot of information, man. I'm gonna get out of here, man, because I will stay on this goddamn microphone all night long. I've had a great time tonight. I love communicating with you all. I really appreciate the support that you give our network. And there are some people who have tried their damnedest to keep us from being recognized as one of the premier podcasts, information, content creating, situationships in the city. I know it. It's people who, but shout out to all those people who keep it a buck. I get tagged on posts all the time, and it's somebody saying, well, somebody tell me what podcast or who does a podcast. And I see people from, sometimes people who I ain't, don't even know, or not necessarily my friends per se. Say, oh, you should check Outlaw Radio out. Check these brothers out. These brothers keep it real. I really appreciate that shit. That's right. Get in on the ground floor, man. Get in on the ground floor. I do want to close. I don't know if y'all tell me if this matters to y'all. I guess we got a couple extra minutes. Somebody want to chime in. There's the confirmation for the sister Ketanji Brown Jackson, right? And it was a very proud moment for me as a man of color, because I've been talking about us getting to know who these conservative white judges are, who basically dictate, because something gets all the way up to the Supreme Court. So we're talking about legislations and laws in this country. And I've stated a lot of times about how these conservative white judges mean us no good, and those courts don't really speak for us. And so whenever we can get a black person involved in that situation, it's always good. So this sister Ketanji Brown Jackson was going through confirmation, and we got to a point where she was speaking with Senator Cory Booker, and he was very, very just, man, I'm so proud. He expressed such adulation and admiration for her, and really giving her flowers, so to speak, and telling her how proud he was of her as a black man, and da 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 da. And I felt the same way. Like, that's cool. Like, the sister got through, and his brother's here to kind of catch her back and say, this is good, and we love this, and you should feel good about yourself. And then it was like after the ceremony, and she went to kiss her husband, and it's a whole white dude. Listen, I don't have no problem with interracial relationships, but somebody tell me, what is it about us when we get up to a certain level politically, when we get these jobs, when we get these kinds of opportunities to be on a higher level, federal judges and stuff like that, and we look at Kamala Harris, and whose office is totally a shit show, right? Like, so read that. Those stories are in the People's News Network, but it's always, okay, a sister with the white dude, or a brother with the white girl. Like, I ain't got nothing against, you love who you love. Is she purple? She purple. She treats you right. Y'all go ahead, be happy, and make a lavender baby. It is what it is. But I just get tired of the pattern. I just get tired of, like, goddamn, when we get up high, it's almost like that's a necessity. Like, that's an accessory. Like, so she has, and I'm, and she loved him, and he's been good to her. Who am I to criticize that? That's my own personal perspective on it. But I keep talking about us being us, and us doing us, and us having solidarity, man. So that's why I look at this and say, okay, are we, like, what kind of legacies are we building? Let's build a strong nation. Public Enemy said it take a nation of millions. How do we get to that nation of millions if we keep kind of choosing the other side? I just feel like, we need to do better, man, on being together, man. Like I said, man, I've had a great time, man. Shout out to Kamar Carter and my other co-hosts, and Courtney Francois, and everybody for tuning in. Shout out to all the homies who tuned into the show. She said, in all fairness, her and her husband grew up together and got successful together. That's what's up, TR Arthur. Put that up there. That's what I'm saying. Anytime I'm talking my shit and somebody else is out there and they say, Kev, you wrong, or look, they get all the facts. Information gang, word mob. She said, in all fairness, her and her husband grew up together and got successful together. That's what's up. That's what's up. You know what? Well, let me know. Straighten me out then. Because once again, I keep looking at it like, damn. I mean, that was one of the things that people really, really loved about Barack Obama's, that he was with a sister. For me, that was the thing that I really voted for Michelle, right? I was more like, okay, here, that's a real sister right there. Southside Chicago, that's a real sister. And it was, two black people. I didn't know, what I didn't know at the point. I didn't know about, black boule and type shit like that, and black elitism and black classism. I wasn't thinking about all of that when I seen that. So, but it's a little disappointing, but I mean, at least they were together, right? So I keep telling y'all, man, all we got is us. I mean, you think about it at the end of the day, all you got is you, all right? But in order to empower you, you need us. And when I say us, I mean the people that love and support you. Everybody needs a support system. I'm self-made. Nobody never helped me. Nobody gave me shit. Somebody did something for you. Stop it with your selfish ass. It's okay to give somebody else some credit, man. It's okay. But yeah, man, like I said, that's my opinion on the sister. I'm glad she got a job. Not that she would even give a shit what I think, but I'm just like, goddamn. Can we just have some real black power couples? I mean, it's almost like even when you get to a certain level, you're like a neutered black man. So if you don't have a sister, you just don't have a woman. You just like, I don't like women. It's just, I feel like there's such a conspiracy against black love and black people being able to empower themselves. We got to get on code, man. We got to get together, man. There's this little phrase that's trapped inside the word community, and it's called common unity. Right. And we got to get a sense of community back so we can have some common unity. We got to do us. All we got is us, man. We waiting on a bus that in a lot of cases ain't gonna never come. Right. So, in the meantime and in between time, man, check us out Monday nights. Go back, share the show. The shows are archived. Like I said, man, I appreciate all the support we get. I mean, you can hate on it. You can not watch it. It's fine. It'll be okay. I've been doing this for a very long time. As a matter of fact, that I was listening to a show and I shared it on Facebook 5 years ago when I started out on Blog Talk. And I was just listening, and it was just the show when Fife Dog died from a Tribe Called Quest. It's a great show. I was like, damn, I was good. Like, have you ever listened to your own shit or looked at your own shit or looked at yourself in the mirror and said, damn, I'm good? I had one of those kinds of moments. It's okay. It's okay to love yourself, man. There's a reason why it's called self-esteem, right? There's a reason why, because there's nobody who's ever gonna love you like you, and you ain't gonna be able to love nobody else until you learn how to love you. I will holler at y'all, man. Hit your boy up, hit the Cash App. You can still message me after the show, man. I respond to comments all the time. We'll be back on Monday. Man, like I said, man, I've had a great time. Y'all have a great weekend, man. Stay healthy, stay proud, stay safe, but stay dangerous too. And it's just like Willie D always says, if your criticism of the Black community outweighs your contribution, your ass is a coon. Peace.